Hello guys, so we're located today in Bratislava, Binarium building, campus co-work space, and my today's guest is Peter Kris. Peter, welcome.
Hi Rene.
Peter, so you are CEO of Mangata Finance. It's a really interesting project on Polkadot, and you have raised this year substantial amount of money, or actually substantial for this region where we're located.
Yeah, that was like early this year. We've raised 4.2 million. It was from investors from San Francisco, from New York. We have some Japanese investors and Chinese investors from Singapore. So we have investors all over the place, basically.
So this is for me, or for this region, I think it's quite a huge success, and we will get to this. But first, I would like to know a little bit more about your story. How you got to this point? Where was your first touch with crypto? How did you get there?
Well, I've been lucky to be in the Bitcoin or crypto space since like 2012, so pretty early. At the time, it was mostly progress bar and events here in the hacker-space. I remember, back in the days, I was very like strong libertarian and strong anarcho-capitalist. I was a big fan. And naturally, in those groups, cryptos were very popular because they were offering some new parallel type of economy that we could create on a green field, and we can build the economy from the ground up. It sparked my interest since very early days, and I've been here since it's almost a decade right now.
It's interesting to say it's almost a decade now, because it doesn't seem so long. I'm sure that not even for you. So actually everything began in Progress Bar in Bratislava, right?
Yes.
It was actually pretty efficient place, I guess, because also Z Prime Capital, like the investment fund, was founded there. Also Polkadot, another project, right, from the guy who was running actually that place, Maciej Niemczyk-Youngwell, and now your project. So I would say it's pretty good spot, or actually was, because it's not anymore. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and with your team and everything, you met there, or how did it went? Because I know that before this Mangata Finance, you had Block Unison, which was basically like a dev house. Am I right?
Yeah. Oh, to describe the whole story, so at the time, like 2012, 2013, that was actually one of the first major waves of crypto that got into like more mainstream recognition. Then it, fell down. There was like 2 years of this super strong bear market. The crypto was dead, Bitcoin was dead. But at the time, I was like an engineer. I was a developer. I was developing applications. But when there was a next wave in 2017, well, like next bull market, that was the most crazy bull market we've ever witnessed. So at a time, we've decided like, hey, I have so many like engineer friends, developers, so let's gather together and let's start doing something for like foreign clients, and let's start developing Ethereum smart contracts, starting developing software on top of blockchains, start doing consultancy, because there has been a lot of demand like flowing around. So at a time, we formed Block Unison, and we were focusing mostly on Ethereum, Solidity, smart contracts and solutions around it. We had clients like either local, we had clients from UK, from the US, basically all over the world, because crypto is global by default, right? So like the reach was towards like anyone who's located anywhere. If they know how to do a job, they got the job. So that was 2017, and we've developed a lot of solutions. But naturally, we were crypto folks, we were crypto people, so we were like playing around with the early DeFi protocols, like since the first day of Uniswap has started, or even decentralized exchanges like before. We were developing our own trading bots, like for trading on decentralized exchanges. So we were tinkering around the product since very early days. So we had our own ideas, like what could be the next step or next evolution in the product space in crypto. And when I recall my early days, like even 10 years ago, or maybe even like when I was on the university, I was always interested in trading. So I was trading these commodities back in the days like 2010. That was even before crypto, and I was trading commodities at this US broker. I just took my student money that I was saving up for 3 years, and then I went trading commodities on the US market.
Degen since the beginning.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy when I recall those years, and at the time I got very interested by the order book, by how the mechanics of order books work and how the price is formed. I was really fascinated by the whole process, like by the limit orders, by the market orders. Then I've learned there are some other layers of order books that is not visible. You have to pay to get into it. There are even like deeper layer that is completely like hidden from everyone. So there are limit orders you cannot see. The whole topic was very fascinating to me, like how the price, how the mechanics of price formation, how it works. So I was naturally compelled when I've encountered decentralized exchanges on Ethereum, like the automated market makers. How does it affect price? So it was a topic that was very, very close to me, and I was watching it from the very early days, And around like 2018, me and my co-founder Gleb Urbano, we've been building our own trading bot, and we started trading. And we very quickly noticed that there are other players on the blockchain because everything is visible, everything is 100% transparent. So we could see all the competing players. So we started developing our own trading bots, and we got front run, or some other hackers were canceling our orders. We couldn't get into a trade, or we were thinking we're buying at 100 and suddenly our filling price was like 120, like 20% worse price. So there has been a lot of like attacks on our trading, and we were like, this is absolutely unacceptable state of the blockchain. Like if you have completely unreliable execution, you have no guarantee of the price, you have no guarantee of the price cost. When you compare that to traditional finance, where everything you have sort of like guaranteed, in terms of like cost, execution, you have much better much better trading experience on a traditional finance. So we've came into a conclusion like there has to be a way how to build a product that resembles the traditional finance but still keeps to its decentralized ethos, right? And that was the time when we started thinking like how the perfect decentralized exchange would look like. Yeah, that was the starting point. And we were still keeping it in our heads. We were still like having only on the paper.
It was 2018, right?
Yeah, it was 2018, 2019. We were still having it on the paper because we were like busy with the projects and working for clients. And then that's another like a funny story to some extent because I wanted to get like projects from the US. And like how do you source clients from the US? It's always a problem for people here in Eastern Europe. And I took Gleb and I made him a LinkedIn profile. I made the LinkedIn profile like top. I made it like a perfect, and Gleb has a really strong background in academia, in research.
He was doing also something with the Russian army or something like this, no? Like government and stuff.
Well, Gleb was, he's formerly from Moscow. Mm-hmm. Right now he's living here in Europe. But he had a strong background in research in academia, so he was working even for the government, and he was he published 20 papers on distributed systems, on artificial intelligence, and a lot of stuff. So I took his profile, I made him a LinkedIn, I made it absolutely best, and I changed his location to San Francisco. So if you change your location on LinkedIn, to somewhere else, suddenly the new friend requests are coming from that location, and you are somehow visible in that location. Okay. So recruiters contact you, some other business people, some biz dev people start like befriending you, and if you give it like few months, you're suddenly having a really nice network in that area. So suddenly Gleb received a request from Polychain Labs. Polychain Labs is this R&D arm of Polychain Fund, which is one of the biggest funds, one of the biggest crypto funds in Silicon Valley, one of the earliest. And they've requested if he wants to get on a call. So he got on a call with them, and they told him like, hey, you have a perfect profile, you have all the technologies, you have the great background, you know. Do you want to like work for us as an employee? So they wanted to offer him an employment. And Gleb told them like, hey, sorry, I'm located in Europe. So I am sometimes in Silicon Valley, of course, but I'm mostly in Europe, and I have my own company. So we could maybe talk business to business rather, and not like employee. And he told them like, hey, you know, we even have our own ideas, you know, like we have our own ideas for decentralized finance, you know, this new thing that is just emerging. And they told him like, oh, you have new ideas? Maybe you want to talk to our parent fund, which is Polychain Fund, because they have this incubator where they incubate these early stage projects, and they might be interested in your ideas. And you're like, of course, let's talk, you know? So 5 meetings went through. We talked to them several times, and suddenly we were accepted in this incubator in San Francisco. And that was roughly the like inception point of Mangata Finance.
So you have spent some time in San Francisco, right? Or it was like remote?
Well, it was 2020.
Ah, okay.
And originally we had to go to San Francisco, but it was just in the midst of the strongest COVID. So that was that we were just about to go to San Francisco, and then suddenly everything was in a lockdown, you know. So unfortunately we had to go through it completely online, completely remote. I was very unhappy about it. I was really looking forward to San Francisco, but it didn't work. So everything was online, and we had been having these workshops with people from Coinbase like at midnight our time, because you know San Francisco is 9 hours behind us. So they usually work in our late evening hours. So 3 months has passed in this way, but we've received a lot of support, because Polychain is the founder of Polychain, Olaf. I think he's the first employee of Coinbase. So they are like positioned deeply into the like core of Silicon Valley crypto group. So we had a lot of great support with like great people in the beginning. And that was the time when Mangata Finance was incepted, and the incubator ended with our first investment that was 1.4 million with some other investors, of course. And that was really the first bigger fuel to start building it seriously.
I really love this hack that you made on LinkedIn, and how you made all these steps to get funded like really successfully. It's pretty nice. I have heard a lot of stories how to get, you know, to these funds and VCs and so on, because it's usually really hard for founders to get there and to have some relationship with them, and especially in some times when there is bull market, like these funds, they are getting hundreds of pitch decks each day, I would even say. They don't have time to check there, so it's great to have a relationship with them. So, and you especially have started in the bear market, like with creation of the idea, and then also this incubating, and all the project was basically created during the bear market. And during the bull market, you only kind of like use the situation in market to have like the additional funding that you needed for upcoming years. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, we've started at the end of a bear market. I remember that like at the end of the incubator, the Bitcoin was just crossing 20,000 level of price. You know, so it was just at the beginning of the next bull market. That was the time when we raised our first round. But the thing is that what we are building, what is Mangata Finance? Because I think we haven't mentioned that. Mangata Finance is a decentralized exchange that helps people having better rewards when they provide liquidity, having lower costs when they are trading on Mangata, and the whole system is manipulation free. So it's impossible to do front running. It's impossible to do any insider trading. The hackers cannot manipulate your orders because we have designed this new architecture of blockchain, because Mangata is a decentralized exchange and a blockchain at the same time. And because of Gleb's background, we have designed a new type of blockchain architecture where certain practices are impossible, where your trades are encrypted. It required certain changes to the consensus how the block is formed on the blockchain, but that allowed us to provide much better experience and much better guarantees to traders and liquidity providers. And because of that, you can see Mangata as something like a very super efficient DEX and blockchain that is only focused on this one narrow use case and make the decentralized exchange as best as possible.
Okay, so now you have mentioned all the innovations that you are bringing, or most of them, and I want to ask, like, okay, so we were talking about roadmap or this kind of stuff, but now I want to ask you, like, why have you chosen Polkadot? Because this was not mentioned here at all, and I think it's really needed to be said, because regarding to the market situation nowadays, many people, they are against Polkadot, or maybe they lost their faith into Polkadot. So I'm sure that you are insider in Polkadot ecosystem, so you can tell us more about this.
Well, there are only like 3 multi-blockchain paradigms in the market. So there is Avalanche, Cosmos, and Polkadot. I believe all 3 will coexist in the future. So there will no be like one obviously clear winner, but Polkadot is the most pragmatic. Polkadot is the most pragmatic in a way that they are not hyping on some marketing. They are really the whole team around Parity and Web3 Foundation. They are heads down in work, and they are delivering. They're delivering software. That's one way. Second way is that if you now more technically, for instance, if you compare Cosmos and Polkadot might be a bit more troublesome to develop, but because it's only early days, because they are taking really time to develop things from the ground up, like with the high quality, as much quality as possible. And if you think now about interoperability, Polkadot has come up with this shared security concept. And shared security concept is really important if you want to scale several blockchains being interconnected, and you want to scale them into this grand multi-blockchain system. So if you're watching the space, Polkadot with its concepts, they are leading the multi-blockchain paradigm. Like all the other ecosystems are copying from the Polkadot. It's not like Polkadot is copying from other systems. It's reversed. So Polkadot to me is quite obviously the leader in this space. And to me, it's just a matter of time when this will show in terms of adoption and traction.
Yeah, regarding to this building activity, like I know that after Ethereum, the second chain that is having the most active developers, like core developers, is actually Polkadot, right? Nowadays.
Yeah, of course.
So it's interesting to say. So just simple to say, you believe in Polkadot, you see the bright future in Polkadot, and you see it like multi-chain.
Yeah,
crypto space. Okay, is actually Polkadot your favorite chain? Probably it is, right?
Yeah, of course it is.
Okay, you know, it just maybe it haven't changed. Okay, so you have a long history in crypto and like dev housing and building for others. I'm curious about, there are so many bizarre things in crypto happening, like this year, too many actually. So I would like to know what was maybe the most bizarre thing that happened to you in crypto, or what you seen, what you witnessed.
Most bizarre.
Yeah.
You know, I'm usually a very calm person, so I'm not like surprised by many things. I would have to return back to maybe 2017. The most bizarre was the whole token mania with all ICOs. I cannot.
2017, right?
Yeah, I cannot recall like one particular like project, But everything what was happening at the time was so super crazy. I remember we had this Bitcoin meetup with here in Bratislava, and there have been people, like it was packed. I don't know, there were like 300 people in Mestský pivovar, and I was like, what is happening here? We are talking about, there was, I believe, Pavel Lupták talking about Monero, and there have been like 300 people, like completely like normal people that they just heard about Bitcoin yesterday, and now they are listening to Monero, like how like the privacy is going to change the world, and then they have been taking photos with the stand-ups like of the Bitcoin meetup, and I was looking at that like, wow, that is so crazy, you know, and that happened like within the span of a few months, you know. So those times were really crazy, and I remember it. It was a nice memory.
Yeah, it really is. So this was the most bizarre thing. I think actually it was the most bizarre thing for many people, even outside of crypto. Okay, so the other thing is like, what was the biggest fuck up that you've seen, that you've witnessed in crypto? Maybe some screwed smart contract or I don't know.
Well, I have to say, from the point of like what felt like the biggest fuck up, it was maybe the Mt. Gox actually crash. Because at the time it was so huge that it killed like, I don't know, 70% of the industry. You know, there was like almost, you know, FTX, right? I know FTX just crashed, you know, and everyone is like comparing that as a big fuck up, but and it was, and a lot of people got hurt. But I see that the crypto is continuing. There is still a lot of like crypto related projects and people that were just unaffected, and they are just continuing, and the crypto has a good speed and good, like it can sustain this. But in 2013, when the Mt. Gox has crashed, that was like a kill blow.
Yeah.
You know, after that there was nothing, zero. You know, in 2014 and 2015, it really felt like crypto is a failed experiment and it's dead.
Yeah.
You know, and it was not just in the news, like uninformed journalists were writing about Bitcoin is a failed experiment, but even you could feel that depression like deeply from inside, like what has been done. You know, we had this one chance to try it, and we failed because of bad security practices or something like that. So I believe that was one of the biggest, or the biggest blown up.
The market was really fragile at that time, so
exactly.
like it was a really big pain. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, like, what was the biggest hack that you have experienced in crypto space? But I guess you already have mentioned this with this LinkedIn and the story, like how you got to funding. So if there is anything else like this, you feel free to mention it. But this is pretty good. Who are your 3 favorite crypto people?
That's a complicated question. 3 favorite people. Okay. I'm going to say first one is Vitalik. Well, there is not one more favorite than the other. It's just like 3 favorite.
Okay.
So let's say Vitalik, because back in the days when Ethereum started, I was a keen fan, and I was watching Ethereum from the very first days.
Have you invested in ICO, by the way?
Well, everyone was part of who was there, like in those days. You know, I have to say. Then I really like Vlad Zamfir. Vlad Zamfir, even though a lot of people do not understand him, but he understands a lot of like core crypto concepts, and he's looking into the right direction, in my opinion. And the third one, I would say Gavin Wood, because he was the most practical person of the original Ethereum team, because he was the actual person who implemented the Ethereum. So he had the most realistic view on the technology, and he took that from Ethereum to Polkadot.
Yeah. Gavin, actually, when we are already talking about Gavin, how do you see it? What's your perception on the thing that he stepped down as CEO of Polkadot and he just focused back on technicalities of it? Do you see it like a good move, bad move, or neutral?
Of course, it's a good move. You know, when you want to focus on technology, and when you want to focus on like innovating. The position of CEO is much more people position. It's less technology position. And if you are the mind, or if you're the mastermind of technology, it makes sense for you to focus on the technology. So I think it was the right step forward.
Okay. We already talked about chains that you are bullish on, so maybe the best sources of information for you personally in crypto space. What is the best source? Or do you have time even to study like new informations, or are you focused on your project and things that are connected to Polkadot and your stuff?
Of course I have time. I have to watch new things because crypto is moving fast all the time. It's Twitter, to be honest. But it's like how to do it. I'm a person that is usually very aware of what is the mainstream fashion of whatever in crypto is popular right now. And over this whole time, I can see that there is a new fashion trend in crypto every 3 to 6 months. So what is popular now won't be popular in 6 months, and there will be something else. I don't know what. So you have to be very aware of this even when you are trying to like invest or maybe looking for new projects. So what I'm doing from time to time is, I create this new Twitter account and I'm starting to follow these new technical folks, but not very popular. They have to be, less than 1,000 followers or less than 2,000 followers. So that way you're sure that you are on the cutting edge. But sometimes it's really hard to like distinguish like which low follower account is telling some alpha and which low follower account is like telling stupid things. But when you understand the technology, when you understand the fundamentals, when you did your time in studying consensus a little bit, studying distributed systems a little bit, when you study interoperability, study MEV things. You get the like good feeling or grasp on what is like the technology about, and then you have to be looking for like what is fundamentally new information from people that are not popular yet. So in this way, I'm trying to stay on the cutting edge, and that's how I source most of my information.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I would like to ask you a little bit about the form how you operate in your company, because of course you are remote first, and like recently, maybe yesterday, I seen that you liked very nice sentence. Someone posted on LinkedIn that remote first companies are the one bringing the best results, or they're those who are result oriented. So probably you share this, right?
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. It was something that the only way how remote companies can work is to measure the results.
Exactly.
Because you do not control the hours of people, how much they spend on the work. You don't see them. You are not like 1 meter from them. Mm-hmm. So the only thing you can hang on to is the results. Mm-hmm. So remote companies are naturally results driven because there is nothing else to measure. And in terms of we are remote. We are currently 21 people. 10 people is here in Slovakia, mm-hmm. and 10 people are all over Europe. Mm-hmm. We have one person from Colombia, like from South America. We have one person from India, and all the others. Yeah, we have one from the US, and all the others are here around Europe. So we all work remotely from home. And I think it works great in crypto, because when you think about it, crypto is very online industry. It's everything is done like digitally. Everything is done on the internet, you know. So it makes sense if your company is like internet first or remote first, it matches the culture. And when you think about it further, the type of culture you create in company, it shows in the product and it shows in the community that you create on the internet. And if your company is not remote first, why do you think you can build a remote first culture community on the internet? You know, so it has to match one to one, and I believe that's the right setup for all the crypto companies.
So what is maybe the hardest part when you are working remotely? Is there anything hard, like maybe, you know, like keep informed everyone or this kind of stuff?
I would say, let's say spontaneity and like having this non-planned interactions, you know, because when you're sitting in an office, you always, I don't know, you go to lunch with your colleagues. Sometimes you just go for a coffee. You just meet someone somewhere. They just tell you some story what they have witnessed yesterday or in the morning at home. Yeah. You know, so these human interactions that are not planned, they are very hard to create in an online setting. Of course, you can do it, but you have to somewhat plan it, you know. So everything in remote is kind of like scheduled, planned, and very, very structured. You know, even if you're working like online and remotely, it forces you into a more rigid structure and planning, because that's the only way how you can manage and predict what you are going to deliver in 1 month, for instance, right? So you have to have strict structures, but balance them a little bit with, I don't know, casual coffee meetings in an online place, or casual lunch meetings in an online place. We had this even like team building completely online. We were playing some games, you know. But there is another thing that is like emerging for remote companies, and that is like gather in one physical location, I don't know, twice a year, the whole company. And there you get to work with each other for, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks. And it works really nicely. We were just like 2 months ago, we were in Lisbon, our company. A lot of people just met for the first time. And it was really, really awesome experience.
I can imagine. I already met few teams. They've seen each other first time on conferences. It was pretty interesting. So what kind of tools are you using now that are maybe different from if you are sitting with your colleagues in the office? And what kind of tool, like from your visionary point of view, would be great for you that would maybe help you even to overcome these difficulties which are in this remote space?
I think, well, we're pretty standard, I would say.
Like Trello and this kind of stuff?
Yeah, we're using Slack for communication.
Trello.
We were using Trello, but we've migrated to Jira.
To Jira, yeah.
Yeah, boring Jira, but it works really well actually for more complex project planning. Yeah, pretty much that. I know some people some teams are using even Discord for their like internal team organization. I could maybe imagine that in the future, but so
I think like Slack and Discord is comparable.
Right? Yeah, it is comparable. Yeah, I have to say.
Yeah, some teams are even using Telegram for everything, you know. You can imagine that everything in the chat, in one chat.
I cannot imagine that, to be honest.
And nowadays, there is a lot of talk about metaverse, and also Windows. They are on the edge of building these metaverses for companies and for them to be able to meet in some space, like let's say virtual office, really. Is this something that would be interesting for your team? Like, it could improve something or not?
To be honest, I think I'm a bit skeptical about the whole metaverse thing, even though, you know, I don't see how it could be productive that people would be wearing these glasses and trying to work. It can be productive if you want to like look person eye to eye, you know. But this is not what is happening in the metaverse. If you want to talk to a person face to face, you just have a call with your camera on. So I don't think there is that much to be added in terms of like work productivity, unless it's some like online team building setup, you know, so where you're kind of like playing games or you're having some entertainment with your colleagues. But on the side of like work, I don't see that much benefits, to be honest.
So what are your next plans with Mangata Finance? So now in the year of 2022, the hardest year now in crypto, you achieved the funding, good funding, so now you have runway. And during this bear market that has started recently, now you are going to focus on like improving of the things that have been tested and user acquisition, or what are your like core plans now?
Right now, our plans is to launch our flagship product on Polkadot next year. Right now, we have been developing this for more than 2 years, and we wanted to wait until there are calmer times, and once everything is settled. I see a lot of things in the industry right now being in transformation. Like everything is being thought through. Everything is being tested in a way like how tokenomics should look like, how the projects should start in terms of like what's I don't know, how big float of tokens should be in the market. What is your actual offering to the space, right? Are you offering just some like nice incentive structures, or are you offering some like core foundational innovation to the market? So right now I see that everyone is focusing more on the fundamentals, you know, like at what level of innovation are you bringing, or are you building your product? So this is what is Mangata about. In the light of FTX crash, when FTX was marked by intransparency, manipulation behind the closed doors, you know, non-ethical behavior. So all the projects, and I would say that this is even Mangata's core DNA, is to offer 100% transparency, because we are preventing insider trading and malicious attacks on our network. It's the users have guarantee that no manipulation will happen on the DEX, and because it's a blockchain and everything is transparent, nothing can happen behind closed doors. So all these, I would say even almost like ethical values are in our DNA, and I believe that this will be a key differentiator in the market.
Sounds really good. It sounds really like ideal, or almost. But I'm sure that on this road you had many obstacles, and maybe you are having some of the obstacles right now. So I would like to know what was the biggest pain in the ass while you were doing on this project?
I would say, I don't want to sound overconfident, but so far everything is going according to a plan.
Okay, let's just knock on some wood.
Yeah, let's knock on the wood. But the biggest obstacle has been maybe the last fundraising round that happened April, May this year. We had been talking to a lot of investors, and the problem of fundraising is that the opinions of investors are very diverse. You know, crypto is very diverse industry with a lot of verticals. You know, there are like NFTs, there are like gamified, or like finance, there are like Bitcoin folks. You have layer 2, zero knowledges, privacy, I don't know, so many verticals, you know. And even investors, you see that they have so many differing opinions. So sometimes it's really hard to find the right investors for your product, because your product is naturally like in a very narrow space, and it took a lot of work to actually find the right investors. But right now I'm more than satisfied with everyone on board, and we have all the right investors to build Mangata.
It's great to hear that you didn't have such traditional problem like, let's say, HR problems with people, or then some problems with remote work, or some legal issues, or whatsoever. I thought that you would say right now that you had these issues with developing because you had to talk with people from Parity and change the code, base code, and so on. And
I know what you mean. It was a lot of work. Everything what you just mentioned, even like building a remote team, I don't know what, 20 people, it takes a lot of interviews, it takes a lot of time, and even when you're building this stack like Polkadot or even other things, crypto is very cutting edge. So it's not like traditional software development where you're building, I don't know, an e-shop or some e-commerce platform where you can somewhat reliably predict when you will deliver what. When you're building in crypto, it's something like software engineering combined with scientific research. So everyone is looking into a dark, and sometimes you feel like, yes, we will deliver this in 2 days, and then suddenly it's 2 months and not 2 days, right? So you have to have really high tolerance for uncertainty and unpredictability, but I think we are managing this to a good degree, maybe because Gleb has quite a good background in academia and scientific research, and he was developing software actually in the scientific areas where he had encountered a lot of problems like that. So I think we have a pretty good tolerance and pretty good management of expectations of what can be done over what time.
Okay, cool. What was maybe, or I will ask this differently, do you think that maybe you could have more obstacles and more issues if you were not in this incubator? Maybe you got some good advices there, or do you maybe remember on some of the best advices that is resonating in your head?
Of course, being in a Polychain portfolio helps a lot.
Yeah.
It helps a lot because it opens a lot of doors. So you are naturally connected. You are naturally having open doors like everywhere, and that helps you with hiring. That helps you with partners. That helps you with other investors, right? Because right now we have more than 15 funds in our project. So that helped us a lot, and of course access to top people, and that being like advisors, that being like people from practice, so you can talk to people from Coinbase, from Compound Finance, people from Uniswap, and you get their real world experience, and they can advise you, and that is a great benefit when you want to start building something on this scale.
Perfect. I like this. Now some tricky question. I like to call it, put your money where your mouth goes. So if you had some cash to invest now during bear market that could earn you some nice profits, of course it's not financial advice, but what would you do, or where would you invest your money?
Well,
is it Polkadot and Ethereum, or
it's not financial? It's not financial advice. How do I think about early stage project? In 2017, it was much easier because you, as a common folk, you could get into like early stage projects through ICO, right?
Yeah.
So you could participate. But right now, everything is accessible only to venture capital. So you, as a common person, you have big trouble to get early. So you usually get very late to projects. Of course, you can capitalize on that, but you don't have the opportunity to go very, very early. But what I am seeing right now, that a lot of industry is getting squeezed. Like a lot of projects are getting squeezed, and even the venture capital is not investing as much as it was in the past. So a lot of early projects, they have no access to capital. So what I think might happen over the next few months is that a lot of projects, out of necessity, they will start looking again into crowdsourcing finances for early stage projects. It might not be ICO, it might be something else, or some other even more compliant, more regulated way on how to crowdsource money for early stage project. But I would be looking at those projects that are looking for like crowdsourcing.
So you see nowadays more potential in those early stage projects than in, let's call it, blue chips, which are on the secondary market right now?
Well, from investment point of view, if you want to like return on investment as much as possible, that would be definitely
life-changing.
Yes, yeah. But always, I've just described like what type of projects there might arise. But now more like technologically or like product-wise, you just have to be really cutting edge in terms of the tech, right? Back in the days, the cutting edge was Ethereum because it has brought like Turing complete smart contracts to like application-specific blockchain Bitcoin. This I want to highlight. Like Bitcoin is the first application-specific blockchain, and right now Polkadot is building this multi-chain out of application-specific blockchains. So I think the app chains or app-specific chains in the future they will be getting a lot of traction. But now, like investment or maybe where the industry will be in the future, I would be definitely looking at the interoperability and maybe some standards around interoperability and projects that are doing something with interoperability, because the bridges are the future. The connection of different blockchains, this is definitely the future. So
maybe let's say something like layer 0 possibly, or
yeah, possibly, or something like Polkadot or maybe IBC on Cosmos. There are things like we are MEV project in our core. So MEV is another topic that will be very important. What I expect. So for instance, in the MEV space, I'm not sure how much people understand like what is MEV is a miner extractable value. It's a thing where miner can just reorder transactions and capitalize.
Don't worry, now we're going to talk about alpha and they don't understand, so they will just shut it off. So we keep it for us.
So right now, when you look at the whole space of crypto, MEV is currently compensated or solved through MEV redistribution. So all the like Flashbots and all the other projects, they're mostly trying to redistribute the value back to users in the most fair way. It's a legitimate solution vertical, but it has its own limits. There will never be a perfect redistribution. There is other set of solutions, which is MEV minimization. So that those types of solutions, they are trying to not take the money out of users in the first place. And this is the vertical that we are currently heading into. Mangata is about MEV minimization, Flashbots is about MEV redistribution. And all those minimization solutions, they did not get that much attention yet. So that is Mangata. I don't know, there is other like Osmosis. They are having this like MEV minimization concepts developed that are legitimate, or there are other like solutions if you research them. And now in the bear markets, like everyone is suddenly getting more sensitive to, for instance, costs, right? And I believe that users will always decide where the future is. So back in the days, there was this, user-activated soft fork on Bitcoin, and that was one of the first evidences that actually users decide over the design of the network and not miners. So if you design a solution that makes the cost structure of users better, users will choose it in the bear market because they are very sensitive to costs. So, well, that's a positive case for Mangata that I've just described.
Okay, I like this, what you just mentioned. And is there maybe anything else that some product or some tool or whatever that you would like to see in the crypto space that is still missing nowadays?
It's a tough question because I think a lot of things in crypto has been already developed, and a lot of things that are developing right now and you think they are cool in terms of like ideas, they have been developed like few years ago. And when the Turing complete smart contracts came on Ethereum, that opened up a lot of like design and solution space. So I believe when I'm thinking from point of like global adoption, I believe we already have a good set of innovation already discovered. Of course, there will be something new. It's like design space is infinite, but we have a good set of things that should be more usable on a global scale. So I'm not looking at the innovation that much anymore, and I'm looking more into ways like how can we scale crypto so that your grandma can use it, you know, like most conveniently. And in order for that to happen, I would say there are two things that need to happen. First one is make the whole UX of self-custody better. With the FTX, right now there is a pressure like to double down on this and let's make usage of crypto and self-custody as secure and as easy to use as possible. So that's one thing. And second thing, which might be unpopular with a lot of crypto people, but I'm saying this, it's explicit regulation. You know, when there is a lack of regulation or there is a legal vacuum, the whole space can get, let's say, to 5 to 10% of adoption, because if you want to really scale, you have to partner with institutions. You have to partner with maybe even more conservative people, and all those people. Or if you want to do something on a big scale, you are affecting the society in a whole, and that is a risk. And if there is an explicit regulation or explicit legal rules, a lot of people will lose the fear. Because right now there is still this distrust, something like, oh, it's too wild. You know, the whole crypto, it's too wild. I'm not sure if I trust it. But if there will be some explicit regulation, a lot of people will have this tendency like, okay, I can trust it now. And in that way, it can truly scale on a global scale.
Yeah. And what about those new layers one that are now arising? Because there is so many of them. Like, what do you think about this? Are they even having some chance?
Well,
because like this user acquisition cost and everything, like this fake incentivization that is happening and so on.
And what do you consider by layer ones? You know, because that's a very changing definition, I would say.
I think I'm having a list of them somewhere over here, and there are like.
Yeah. I'm asking this because, you know, you have the new layer ones. I don't know, there are Ethereum competitors, there are smart contract chains. You have layer ones that are app specific chains, and that's quite a huge difference. So it's very hard to like say something general about them.
But for example, those like huge funded like Aptos, Sui, for example, those are the biggest ones, I guess.
Well, if they are bringing something truly novel to the market in terms of either technical innovation or some product innovation, I don't know, or token innovation, it could work. But so far, I didn't spend that much time into researching all the other projects. So only I can say that make sure that they are bringing something truly novel in this market.
Yeah, for most of them, it's just like there's some small change and nothing really that innovational.
But again, well, one of the popular topics right now in crypto is block space, right? So that block space is scarce. A digital scarcity is one of the fundamental things or innovations that Bitcoin has brought into an online internet world. And so fundamentally, all blockchains are scarce. So even if you think from point of view like scalability, that's not the best way on how to think about blockchains, that they need to scale. Of course, you want to scale them a little bit within the limits of the tech, but it's not the thing that will exponentially blow up, like scalability. Will not be solved by some exponential solution. The blockchains will always be slow because they are scarce. The scarcity is the one of the defining traits of the blockchain. But this plays into a narrative of a lot of L1s. Yeah, because when you build a new blockchain, you are fundamentally building new block space, and you are offering more block space to people. Even though it's kind of like a linear scaling, you know, because you cannot make exponential amounts of blockchains, but this will definitely help the whole adoption of crypto.
Okay, great. I think that I already have asked you all the crypto questions that I have prepared for you. So before we move to the second part, more like regarding to your personal person, I would just like to ask our viewers or listeners to write the questions that you are having on Peter, whether it's regarding Mangata Finance or it's just some regular questions regarding to crypto. Because very soon we are going to have Twitter Spaces together, and you are all invited to join us there. You will find a link which Twitter account you have to follow below this video or in some commentary, or you will find it everywhere. And in this Twitter we will let you know when the Twitter Spaces is happening, and also the best question that will be held will be rewarded. We will not tell you how, but it will be rewarded. So we are also curious if you like this format that we are going to have Twitter Spaces, and don't worry if you are not able to join these Twitter Spaces. Also the recording of these Twitter Spaces will be on the other day on YouTube, Spotify and all podcasting platforms. So now let's move a little bit to the second part. So you maybe don't know what kind of it is. I wanted to make it like, let's talk about one edgy topic, but then I realized that probably it's not the most suitable thing for everyone. So I just have this kind of classic questions of type like, what does success mean for you?
That's a very... I would say it's almost abstract question. What success means to me, being truly satisfied, being on the road you are, right? It's not some goal or some milestone to reach, but just having the feeling that you are in the right place in this world. Yeah. That means success to me. And being on the right place in the world means being in the right place professionally, in your work, having some position in a professional way, having a great position in your social circle, having good relationships with your friends, with family, with your partner, being in the right place.
Okay, cool. What does freedom mean for you?
Freedom to me means that if I decide for something, that something will happen. So I would say I see freedom in a way that freedom to change the world around me. Usually back in the days, I had this view of freedom that I can do a lot of stuff. But right now I'm looking at freedom as something that I can influence a lot of stuff. That's a bit different notion on the freedom, and I will maybe give now a little bit more motivational kind of tone to it. That if I would meet myself like 5 to 10 years ago, I would advise myself take as much responsibility as you can, because if you have the responsibility, it gives you leverage and it gives you impact to influence whatever you have responsibility for. And that is the true freedom. Because back in the days, I thought that freedom is freedom to travel, having some money, and freedom to do whatever I want in the evening, and organize my day in whatever way I thought it can be organized, and I considered that to be the freedom. But over time, I transitioned to a different definition of freedom right now, because right now I have a lot of responsibility, and there is a lot of pressure and even my day is sometimes not scheduled or organized by whatever I wish to be organized. But I feel that the leverage that I get from the responsibility is much higher, and there is this new vertical of freedom that I'm seeing right now, and I have to say that I quite enjoy it.
What does happiness mean for you? And then only the last one.
Happiness is something similar to success, I would say. Very, very similar, but it has to do more with the satisfaction. Happiness, not like I'm laughing and I'm having a really good time. You know, sometimes I'm having an even like bad feeling in the morning, and I don't feel most happy. But having this long-term satisfaction that you are in the right place in this world.
Mm-hmm. What does money mean for you, or do you maybe consider it as something that is needed to have to be able to be happy and free?
Yes, to a big degree. Money contributes to happiness. Money contributes to success. But it's still not the ultimate way on how to get being happy. Of course, you can have a lot of money and be unhappy, or you can have no money and still be much more happy. So it's only one factor, and money means to me it's a tool. It's a tool that you can use to achieve whatever you want. Like having a lot of money just by itself, just by a feeling of having a lot of money, that's no use. It's a no use for yourself. It's a no use for the society that you're living in. So money to me are a tool that gives me leverage. How can I affect the world and make it better?
Okay, let's make it one more. You told us that you were a big libertarian at the beginning, crypto anarchist. So what does government mean for you?
It's good that you recall this topic. So I am not that strong libertarian as I was back in the days, I have to say, because I've understood certain limits, or it's not suitable to everyone. You know, like this perfect libertarian world, I could imagine living myself in such world. Yeah, I could be comfortable in that. But now, when I got older, I understood that a lot of people just could not live in such world. It's non-existent. You have to have certain like common group mechanisms in the society that you're living in, something like a social safety net, you know, and this is something that even is brought to you by your family, you know. So your family is giving you a lot of like this social benefits that you have when you are growing up as a child. And in a similar way, if you are living in a society that provides you with a lot of like social benefits or social safety nets, you are much more productive, you feel much safer, you are much more happy, and you are actually having, I don't know, from evolutionary point of view, you are actually having much better chance of survival, you know. If you're always out there on your own, your chance of survival is much less if you are part of some bigger group. So this is how I see even the governments, that like government is inevitable. It's something that will form in a society big enough, and it's a way how we coexist with each other. You know, if there would not be government, it will always succumb to some levels of smaller governments, but again communicating somehow with each other. So if we say that the government is inevitable, we have to say that, okay, so if it's inevitable, now let's think on how to make it the best for everyone, you know. And that's where a lot of like heated discussions become, you know, like because everyone has their own opinion, like how everything around you should work, but it is necessary and it is good. It's good to talk about it, and it's good to be always coming up with new ways on how to live together better.
Okay, well said. Okay, so now some top of your mind, like if you should mention just one life-changing or not life-changing, but one book that stayed in your head like something strong, which kind of book would you recommend? Is there any like this?
I'm going to be a little bit contrarian here, and I have to say that I'm not reading any books for quite some time right now. I've stopped reading.
Yeah.
So,
But you are getting a lot of information like from Twitter and from
yes.
researches that you are reading, I'm sure. And
yeah,
this
but
kind
those
of
are
stuff.
only small pieces of information. But now I'm going to describe like why am I not reading? Back in the days, I used to be a person that has read a lot of books. You know, I've read quite a lot, I have to tell you, since my childhood. But at one point in time, I've understood that having a lot of theory gives you a lot of good knowledge about the world, but then practice is so detailed that it's very different, and actually the practice will change you more than reading a lot. So I would advise, right now we have an age of huge information overload, you know. You can read a lot of things on the internet, you can consume a lot. So I would advise everyone, so consume less, create more, and be shaped more by the practical experience and less by reading something from someone.
Yeah, there are actually really some books that are really helpful in specialized topics, like in different stage of your life you need something else. For example, like you need to improve your sales skills, so you can have really great book from FBI negotiators, but yeah, this thing like execution, you need to start practice it. Then also great book is like Atomic Habits. Do you know it? Maybe.
Yeah, I know.
And this is the special book that it's nice to read it, but it changes nothing unless you start practicing.
You reminded me of one book which was really great. That was the FBI Negotiator. I'm thinking you mean the same book. It's the Never Split the Difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that was actually a book which was very practical.
Yeah, it is.
It was from practical experience from a negotiator, and I really enjoyed that book, I have to say.
Yeah, I enjoyed that book as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So, are you watching some movies or series or something like this, or not at all?
Not much.
Okay, cool.
Not much.
No books, nothing
No,
like this.
I have to say that all the time that I have left, I'm trying to use as much as possible to be with my friends and family.
And are you doing also some sports? Because I know that you are a dancer.
Yeah.
Like salsa dancer, right?
Yeah. I used to dance salsa quite a lot back in the days. Now it's mostly a free time hobby. But back in the days, I've used to even like perform. I used to.
Yeah,
teach.
you were like a professional, a teacher as well.
I was even teaching salsa. Yeah, so that still stayed as one of my like side hobbies that I do from time to time.
Yeah, I think it's good because you need to have something like this kind of hobby also in physical world, so you feel sane, you feel good, the energy and so on. Okay, so I think we can go to the last few questions, which are sci-fi questions, which never happen. Shamefully. So the first question is, if you could have a dinner with anyone in the world, who would you choose?
I'm not going to choose anyone unknown, but I have to say I would actually go to dinner with Elon Musk, for instance. And why? I think that Elon Musk is one of the biggest decision makers in our world right now. And I would be really interested in what are the perspectives of such decision maker on how he sees things and how he thinks about things going on in the world. And another thing why I choose Elon Musk in particular is that I see that Elon Musk, to a big degree, he is the kind of a product of this age, you can call it American capitalistic online kind of, Elon Musk is the pinnacle, is the peak. And I believe that the world right now, even in the US, wants to shift away a little bit from that. The world does not want to go that much into technology, that much into progress, that much into science. All of these things have been dominant over the past, 20, 30, 50 years or something like that. But right now I see the shift even in the US and into Europe and even the younger generation. The world wants to focus more towards things and problems that are here on the Earth. So let's not go to Mars, let's stay on Earth, and let's try to find out ways how to live with each other the best way as we can. And because of that, I think that Elon Musk will be successful for like his whole life, of course, and his mission going to Mars, it's really exciting, and I would be really happy to see it in my life. I would be really excited. But I would challenge Elon Musk, like, what he thinks about this shift in the world, that his projects might not be so popular in the future, and what does he think about it?
Thank you for this explanation. I was thinking about that he will not be that successful because of the situations on market. Like now, you have to take care of costs and you need to see profits, and basically their profits not that good. So thank you for this point of view. It's really interesting. Okay, so the other question is like, if you could choose any superpower, which one would that be?
I would choose some telepathy, and it goes into back to topic of understanding people more, because I see that we are having generally like communication troubles are almost everywhere, and sometimes it takes a lot of time to get to know each other in work, or even like with your business partners, or like any human to human interaction. So you have to listen a lot to people, and if I would have a shortcut, to get into minds of people, that would make the like whole life much easier.
That's nice superpower, I really like it. But if you could have one skill overnight, like Neo in Matrix, that you lie down, they connect you, and in the morning you wake up and one skill is completely perfect, which kind of skill would you like to have?
To be teleported into any place in a second.
That's already superpower, not a skill. Skill is more like knowing kung fu, or you are the best developer in the world, or something like in this way, because that's teleporting is superpower already.
Oh, I see. So the skill, like in a Matrix.
Where does it drag you? Usually people who are not developers or so on, they would like to know how to code the best.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Flying is pretty cool. So flying like Neo in Matrix would be
that's
really
another
cool.
superpower. But let's make it like flying with this, you jump from the plane and you fly with this. Okay, that's cool. We have to try it one day. So the last questions that I'm gonna ask you from this sci-fi question is, I know that you are satisfied with your life and everything, but if you could have one day life change and you could be any person on the world, even from history, what would you choose? Who would you like to be for one day, or maybe just some kind of job or something?
I'm going probably with an answer that's not what would you expect.
I don't expect anything. I heard so many answers on this.
But I would probably change places, I don't know, with my father or grandfather when they were young, So understand their historical perspective and understand their life and what formed them at the time. Because that's something that is passed from generation to generation, in your upbringing. And that could be really useful for me and would be really fascinating. I don't know, to witness Slovakia in the 1950s or something like that. I'd really do that.
Okay, that's something that I really haven't expected, and I like this answer. It's really interesting. So I guess we answered all questions that I prepared for you for today. So I'm really thankful that we could spend this time here and that we could record this podcast. I hope that people will enjoy it as well. Please give us some feedbacks, comments, even bad feedbacks are really welcome, because only thanks to bad feedbacks we can improve. So thank you once again, and of course you will find all links on Peter, on Mangata Finance below the video. So join us, subscribe, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.